From out of the stillness came the word, and that sound, which is eternal and ever present, will be the very sound that carries us forward and upward into this new cycle of love and life. We're grateful to the entire spirit of the Great White Brotherhood, all the great beings who have preceded us on this path of enlightenment, the gods and goddesses of all cultures, of all lands and times, and that each and every one has been an aspect of divinity. And we're grateful for the presence of the Godhead within the hearts of each of our dear ones, all that we see, all that we know, and all that we have ever experienced and has ever contributed to our present states of consciousness. Let then there be in this hour released a great note of gratitude that plays across the eons and the universes and the galaxies, that it might return to us in one day and yet bear us up further and higher. We're grateful to the great Lord Sanat Kumar, the Ancient of Days, and all the evolutions of Venus as our elder sister, who have worked with us and who have very carefully seen to it that we receive things as we are meant to receive them, that we are growing in precisely the correct rate and in just the directions that would contribute to our contribution to the great symphony of the ages. And we are grateful to the masters who have given the most for this wonderful place called Terra, Gaia, Earth, this wonderful platform which we have been privileged to evolve upon, and which we also have the privilege of leaving better than we have found it. We are grateful for our spiritual guides, our guardians, our teachers, and all the great masters who have personally touched each one of us and added to our stature. And we ask that we might be given the same privilege and the same opportunity as the centuries go forward in this grand procession called life. And we accept that these blessings are and shall be multiplied again and again by the power of the 3 times 3 and the power of the 10,000 times 10,000. So be it. Amen. Okay. This class shall be the last one that we do in this round. Some of you might have known that. One of you did. And the reason for that is simply that all things go in cycles, as we know. Everything in this dimension, beginning, middle, ending, everything's just the way it is and was. And there are a lot of times, we don't always know when those are, by the way, as you all know, and I'm sure you've all been shocked at least once by, let's say, the passing of somebody that you didn't expect was going to pass, and suddenly they're gone, and that kind of thing. I mean, that may sound very tragic, but really, of course, they knew they were going to go, at least at some level of their being. So, we just have to kind of expect the unexpected, and especially nowadays, as we enter this new cycle, this Aquarius cycle, the very nature of Aquarius, it's good to know, keep in mind, the very nature of Aquarius is the unexpected. Keep it in mind. You won't be able to predict what's coming. Right? It'll be more and more difficult, I think, to predict what's coming. It's because it's just the very nature of Aquarius is excitement, crisis for breakfast. How's that? That's what it'll be. Yeah. And our, duty or opportunity or obligation, whatever you want to call it, is simply to dance with the music. When it comes, dance. Instead of sit there and do the old deer in the headlights number, freak out and get hit by the train, move. Okay? Common sense, please. Move. Use your head. Don't sit there. Don't freak out. Don't get too emotional. Watch those emotions. We are no longer in the Piscean age, the last 2,000 years, okay? The age of Pisces. Every age has its incredible import. You know that. I mean, we've got to go through them in the procession that we do. But when it's done, it's done. We get on to the next thing. And now we come to this time of Aquarius, which is an air sign, a mental sign. Even though many times you will find, I'm sure in your conversations, people will say, but I thought Aquarius was a water sign. And what they're, of course, referring to is the water bearer, right? You know, the symbol for Aquarius is a man carrying a large jug of water. And indeed, a man representing humanity, not just men, but humanity, bringing the waters of life, the waters of relief, the waters of education, and sharing them. That's, you know, we know water is life, right? You can live a lot longer without food than without water. And so we are in a time when we need to think in terms of mental focus more than emotional focus. I think it's a good idea to move away from emotional living and emotionally based decisions and anything along those lines. Passé. Enough already. Wow. We did it for 2,000 years. Isn't that enough? Look at the mess we made. You know, no, really. I mean, we really do. And I'm seeing this more and more. You know, Sir Arthur has as much as said it. Last night I was invited to do this group up in Nuwana, right across the street from where I used to live. My good friend Ezio had organized a group of people, and I went. It was real fun. And nice people, mostly all strangers. I just knew one or two. And Sir Arthur addressed us. And it was the first time he had addressed this situation that occurred with the World Trade Center, of course. I mean, I had my own feelings about it and such. But it was the first time any of the teachers or whatever had directly spoken about it. And both Golden Eagle and Sir Arthur spoke on it in each in their own characteristic ways. And it was real sweet, you know. But what Sir Arthur was saying was that it was a time when we needed to keep a strong, clear mental focus. Like, keep your mind clear. Don't let your minds get all garbled and blah, 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 you know. It doesn't work. I'm not sure it ever did, but it really doesn't work now. Because the keeping in tune with the mental vibrations will be the ones that'll keep you floating like corks on the water. If you're in the emotions, you're going to be down there. You're not going to see what's coming. It's bad enough you won't see it anyway. But I mean, you really won't see it if you're down, you know, submerged. So I would say if you find yourself in emotional funks, try to break that habit. That's what it is, really. It's a habit. We engage our emotional body as we engage our mental body, as we might engage our physical body. Many of you know some people, I mean, are just a lot more active physically. They just naturally are, you know. For me to get up and work out, it's a big effort, believe me. That's probably why I don't do it. Not that I shouldn't, but some people, they do it like effortlessly. You know that. People who work out, it's in their flow, right? That's what they do. They get up, they get them running shoes on, wham, they're out there, 3 miles, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, that's just where they're at. Beautiful. I mean, my hat's off to it. I think it's great. I wish it were me. You know, but being triple air, it's not that easy to bring all of this down into this body, and it's a real effort for me. My alibi and my excuse. Just so you get the idea what we're talking about. I mean, we all have our tendencies, you know, we're put together certain ways, and so, you know, you just do the best you can, right? Hope you can make it. So anyway, so speaking of this event, I mean, I thought it might be the first one I would address, because I've gotten a whole lot of calls on this, obviously. I mean, it's a big deal, unprecedented, you know, in history. And I'm not going to go into it too much in depth. I don't feel the need to, really, today or ever. But I will say this. One thing I do know is that I sense very strongly that if people are believing or thinking that what occurred was simply what is portrayed to be just a very well executed act of terrorism, I would say you're only seeing a very little of the picture, the tip of the iceberg, really. Just logic alone should tell you that. You don't have to even be clairvoyant to look into it. You don't need to be. Logic alone should tell you that for these people to have it so well together, they could just do all this in just perfect choreographed, you know, crackerjack timing in 1 hour, and wham, 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 you know, hey, look what we did, you know. A little unlikely. Okay, so that would be my take on it. Again, I'm not going to go into specifics. I'm not going to go into this because I just don't feel that that's appropriate or needed. But I will say that it seems to me like they would have needed some inside help, you know, to get all this going. And more people who I mentioned it to are doing the same thing. They're going, it seems that way, doesn't it? Isn't this a little too... I mean, frankly, the word treason wants to leap from my lips. that somebody, quote, sold us out, you know? Yeah, I think so. And I don't know that I'm not here to say I know who, and, you know, I just won't tell you. You know, I don't know exactly who, but I sure feel that this exists. I do. I feel like there is definite collusion in all kinds of levels, and that's scary. That's what's really scary to me. I mean, the thing was shocking enough, but when you go into how it must have been brought about and who must have been involved, and I'm not trying to say President Bush is behind it. You know, I mean, I'm not going to go there. I really don't think so. Okay, so I'm not going there. Okay, necessarily. I don't think that that's the case, but I do feel very strong, and I've had confirmation that it is not as simple as it appears to be. You know, just an act of terrorism. I mean, you know, so anyway, there's that. One message that I did get, and I put it out over the internet to some people, and we have a copy of it over here, was that it would be really good to reinforce the thought forms that are already existing over the cities of New York City and Washington, D.C., and they're huge, and they're beautiful, and they're spiraling, and they look like kind of like big, huge conch shells. They're mother of pearl, which is the color of what they call the resurrection ray. It's an energy field that causes things to go up, 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 and away, because that's what we need, you know, because again, the emotion, the drama, you know, the melodrama, all these people, oh my God, how terrible, oh, you know, it doesn't help. I understand it's a shock, and it's a fright, and it's a lot of things, but it doesn't help to get caught in this little whirlpool of, you know, downward emotions and just get flushed down the toilet like everybody else. There's no help there. We should be, I think, strong enough to be of service in a case like this. And so what we should be putting out is, this is not something that is going to slow us down or stop us. Just, but I was saying this already, and I was getting this, and then somebody said, well, that's what Bush is saying. Good. I'm glad Bush is saying it, you know. He actually should be. So, you know, we must see it as a speed bump, not as a wall that we've crashed into. So as something that I think, and again, to me, it's a sign of the times. It really is. I expect, a lot more. Yeah, isn't it? Yeah, it's just like, you know, it's like, hey, showtime, we're on here, you know. There'll be a lot more. I mean, so I think what I'm starting to get the gist of it here is that individually in our private lives, as well as in the world scene, we're going to be seeing more and more things like this. Unexpected, shocking things you would never expect. Wham, out of the blue again, unexpected. And our job will be to keep our equilibrium, keep your balance, and just keep on trucking. Dust yourself off. That was a close call. And keep on moving. And don't buy into the pathos of it all, and don't get all, you know, down in the mouth and all this kind of stuff, because it won't work. These things are occurring to cause humanity to rise to the level where the only way you can cope is to remain mentally focused. If you're going to go the other way, bye-bye. You will go down the tubes. It's that simple. So I think it's really important that we get that real clear in our heads, and just you know, make up our minds as to what it's going to be from now on. You know, that I mean, I wouldn't be at all surprised to wake up tomorrow morning and there'd be some other weird, freaky thing on the news. I'm expecting this from now on. I really am. Every day it goes by, something doesn't happen. Whew, good. Got a little break on that one. But you know something will happen tomorrow. And it's almost like, again, right now it seems like it's almost been like boot camp, you know, in the military or something, right? You know, I mean, really hard, you know, at first, but then little by little, you after painfully rising to the occasion, because you have to, you just get to where you can handle. And I think that's really where we're at. We're going to get where we need to be able to handle all that stuff. And then guess what? We're in Aquarius. We are in the age of Aquarius. We're in that place where we're doing what the Lord of Aquarius, Uranus, would have us do, which is awaken to our own divinity, awaken to our unsuspected, perhaps, potential, awaken to life that is unpredictable, perhaps, but never conquering. That's the thing. Aquarius is a sign that knows no conquering. It is absolutely victorious. That is its nature. You cannot keep Aquarius down. You can't destroy it because it's too smart. Aquarius is the sign of the genius. It's just too smart. There's nothing you can do. that can break down or stop its freedom. Nothing. Try it. See what I'm saying? That's the nature of Aquarius. It's a real inner nature of Aquarius. And that's what we're getting into. You know, the unsinkable Molly Brown. You know, can't do anything to stop that girl. She'll just blow you away. You know, so don't try. This is the way that I feel the oncoming wave, as I see it coming up, is, you know, engulfing us all. And it's a wonderful thing, and it's exciting, and it's scary, true. But, you know, we can get beyond that and just, you know, be a lot better. Because this is the final night of this particular round, you know, again, in keeping with what I've just been saying, I trust you won't think, okay, well, then that's the end of classes forevermore, and you know, this kind of thing. No. Okay? Please. Let's keep the drama. Let's leave the drama at the door with the shoes. No, not at all. It just happens to be that apparently this is a turning point. It coincides with what they call the vernal equinox, the time of, you know, right? You know, right around then. So we're shifting cycles, that's all. No big deal. Nothing new. We'll do it again. And again, as some of our friends say. So it's a time, though, that, and there was, so I was getting all kinds of little details and notes and things, and I actually jotted a few down that I wanted to cover before we, you know, let this go. Now, these are just various little, you know, points I'm checking off. They may appear to have nothing to do with each other. Of course, everything is related, so, you know, that's not true, really. But there's one thing, and it may seem kind of odd to bring this up now, but I will. Kahi, you teach the Hawaiian language, don't you? What does the word ni'ele mean?
Overly curious, inquisitive, asking too many questions, and not waiting for the right time when you're getting answers.
How about nosy?
Yeah.
Kind of that?
It's some of it. It's also the idea of being a little bit too aggressive and asking questions and not being in your proper,
see.
you know, as a learner or as a younger person, you don't get
I
too...
see. You're not respecting them. Yeah.
You don't get too inquisitive, yeah. You don't, and you're not full of respect as you should be, waiting for the proper time that you will receive what you are supposed to.
Excellent. That's beautiful. Thank you. If someone would ask me that, it just would have said nosy. But that's much more beautiful and deeper. Guru Deva, my dear teacher, the Guru of Kauai, speaks about the time that he was in India going through his training and how he was instructed, don't ask questions. You will be told what you need to be told. That's trust in the Guru. You don't be riddling them with questions, you know. Now, I personally don't have anything against questions, I mean, really, generally speaking. But I think the truth that underlies this is this. Is somebody else here? Oh, Anna.
Anna's in there sitting down.
Oh, is she? Oh, you okay, Anna? Okay. I thought I heard something earlier. Usually spirits don't cough, but you never know. See, the unexpected. Okay. So the point that I'm about to bring forth is kind of a touchy one in a way. And it's this, that we need to be aware that in the spiritual protocol of things, you must guard against this overly curious thing, or just plain old snooping, okay? And I find this it's something that people aren't educated in. It's like your mom didn't teach you right. Is that kind of like that? Because people will, I find, are constantly curious about things that are not their business. And their beady little minds will try and penetrate all kinds of things. Yeah, it happens a lot, okay? Now, I've done it myself, so it's not like I'm above it, you understand? But still, that doesn't make it right. And I think that as students of the law and as students of the masters in particular, we need to take this into consideration and train ourselves to keep our attention on what is our business. And don't go where it isn't, because you know your business is your business. You know good and well what your business is. You know what you have to do with others that pertains to you. Anything outside of that is not your business. And one should just keep their attention focused where it belongs. And of course, another good reason for that is that when you're snooping, you're using energy that you should be using to solve your own problems. You only have so many attention units, don't forget. So many hours of the day. So if you spend an hour snooping, that's an hour you're not using to fix your own life. See, it's very important. And even though, and as I look about here, I really think I can honestly say I don't sense anybody, like let's say right here in this room, that I think is a real serious offender in this way, okay? So I'm not trying to, I'm talking about one of you here, and you know who you are, you know, no, really, serious. You know, if you do know who you are, cool, but I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not, and so I'm not trying to imply that, okay? I just want you, let's clearly air on that one in case you had any such thoughts. But it's a very common thing, and it's something that you will probably find in your own lives, especially as you grow as teachers, because every one of you is going to be a teacher. You already are, but you're going to be teachers. I mean, you just are. Like it or not, sorry. Accept it. You will all be teachers here. You all are teachers. And you'll find as you get involved with teaching and just dealing with people on that level that people will become curious about you personally. And of course, it has nothing to do with what you're teaching, but it doesn't matter. They'll want to know all kinds of things. They'll want to know where you go, what you do, who you go with, how many times. You know? Nosy, nosy, nosy. Mind your own business, you know. And again, people are just not educated right, that's all, you know. I mean, most of our parents probably taught us something along those lines, but I mean, spiritually, I'm referring obviously to the fact that everyone is getting more psychic all the time. I feel like saying like it or not. You know, we all are, just the planet is. So you're going to be able to know things. And you're going to find, if you haven't already, I trust you have, all you have to do sometimes is just wonder. And you'll catch yourself, I wonder, and you got it. Oh my God. That, you know, it rarely happens now because I've trained myself not to wonder. Frankly, I don't really care in that sense. Not that I don't care about people, but I really don't. You know, I mean, I'll be very honest with you. I love you all. I don't care at all what you do when you walk out of here. I really don't. But I love you and I care for your welfare. You understand? But I don't care nothing. And believe me, I'm not looking into anything you do. You can rest assured. Have you ever thought that? Drop it. That is the least thing I'm curious about. I have way too much on my own plate to deal with to be wondering about what Don's doing on a Saturday night, you know? I trust she's having a good time somewhere, somehow, you know, whatever, or reading, or I don't know, whatever, you know. It's not for me to know, and I don't care, you know, though I care about her. So this is something you'll find, and you will have to address the issue, I believe, over and over again to people, and very gently bring them back and tell them, you know, that's really not the way to go. Another reason why it's not a good idea is that if the masters are in the process of, let's say, trying to accomplish a goal of some kind, and you start snooping and checking this out, you may get in the way. You don't want to do that. You do not want to be in the way of progress. You know, this doesn't work. So there it is. So I just had to make the point on snooping, you know, that please know that that is true. And again, you have to forgive people for doing it, and they will do it. They will do it. Believe me, they will do it. And they'll do it all kinds of ways. They'll do it psychically. They'll do it by inference. They'll do it by half-assed questions. They'll do it by all kinds of ways. Or just coming right up and asking in your face, you know, like that. You know, so you just have to. And if I were you, I would have a few answers ready, because it takes you off guard. I've been taken off guard many times. Questions that were asked me that, you know, either I was not at liberty to say or I didn't want to say for whatever reason, and they had no business asking, but they asked, you know, and there they are in your face. Hey, well, you know, and they ask you something. You're startled. And if you're not careful and ready, you're going to just, you know, you might say something that you don't want to. So don't let yourself get painted into a corner like that. Have answers prepared. Here's one example. Okay, a lot of people, for whatever reason, over the years, have asked me, where are you from? I like that one. Little do they know. Which is why they're asking her. I remember when I was in New Orleans. I lived in New Orleans for a little while, and you know, I used to meet a bunch of really fun friends down there. And every now and then, when I would say something that they were not comfortable with, or they could understand, or I did something a lot of times, they'd look at me, man, where are you from? And that was their question, where am I from? You know, what it meant was, why did you do that, or why did you say that? But the way they asked was, where are you from? See, I thought, interesting question. You know, so I've come up with a few answers about Venus, if you must know. That's one I'll throw at people real quick. Where are you from, Venus, if you must know? I wasn't going to tell you. You know, you have every right to throw them off because they have no right to ask you that. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to kowtow to their nosiness. Don't. Yeah, I am. Yeah. I mean, really, man. You know. Don't ask any more, or you'll see my little start to come out. You asked. So that's one, you know. So do be prepared for that because it comes up. It really does. It comes up a lot. Yeah.
When you're getting to know people, though, and you're making acquaintances, isn't it natural to ask things like, "Oh, where are you from?" or "What do you do for work?" I mean,
yes, of course, sure.
The difference?
Well, I think I have to leave that to your discretion. You know, in other words, there's some people I don't mind telling just about anything to. I don't know that I have that much to hide, really. But I don't like it when, let's say I'm dealing with someone for metaphysical reasons, let's say. Let's say I'm a guest somewhere. I go somewhere, I'm there to deliver a lecture or a class, and I do so, right? And they come and start asking me where I'm from. I consider that not exactly appropriate. You know, we're not on social terms. You know, I didn't come here to hang out with them. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't ask a speaker that necessarily, unless I had a strong reason or feeling to. You know, if I went to a lecture and I wouldn't approach the speaker. Oh, by the way, where are you from? You know, see what I mean? It's inappropriate. It doesn't work. If I ask them about the subject matter, that's different. You know, and usually I would only do so if they invited questions too. You know, it's just that we're so far away from the protocol, Jane. That's what it is. As a race, as a culture, we're so far away. We're such, you know, yeah, you know that you know it's gotten to be okay and common, you know, to have these things happening, you know.
Well, in the professional world, though, we have boundaries, especially
Right.
when we have clients or something, and that what you're talking about is very normal boundary lines.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a teacher-student relationship or a doctor-patient relationship or whatever, what you're saying would obviously hold very true.
And it does.
But I was thinking of it in terms of social context.
Oh, then I would say that's up to you, of course. You know, sure. I mean, I don't think you should feel like you can't say anything to anyone that you want to. But it's another thing when people are asking you things that you haven't invited. That kind of thing, you know. That would be the point, the place, yeah. And and again, another thing is, and now, of course, we're not just talking about that. That's the bottom level of it. Let's talk about psychic snooping. That's the one I'm really talking about.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you're doing something no matter what it is, and all of a sudden you are aware of the fact that so-and-so is wondering what you're doing. Or maybe trying to look in on you or something like that. That kind of thing. It happens. It's happened to me many times. I'll sense somebody's attention on me, and I'll just go, why are they doing that? You know, I mean, don't they have a life? Why don't they just go and do their thing, whatever they need to do, and, you know, leave me alone? And so it's just, again, just a point that I think needs to be made, just so you all know. And just so you know where the law stands in relationship to it, that it does not condone it. It's not proper, okay? That's one thing. Another thing is this, and you know, apropos to that, there is this, how would I say this? Again, along the psychic lines, because, you know, we're moving into that neighborhood, all of us, even those who don't profess to be psychic. There are ways you can block psychic snooping, you know, because it'll happen, as I've told you. There are ways you can block it. And you have every right to block it if you feel, you know, that somebody is where they shouldn't be. And the simplest way, and often the simplest things are the most powerful or profound, is simply with an effort of your will, a well-directed ray of your will toward any and all. I mean, if it's toward one person, okay, it can just be in general, and it can be like a wall around yourself that you erect. And it has a strong intention of, you may not observe me. You may not see me. You may not perceive me. You cannot see anything about me. And it's your will. And it's very powerful, you'd be surprised. Even if you may not think you have a strong willpower in that area, you do. See, because this runs along cosmic law, again. You see what I'm saying? So the law is behind you and it empowers you. So in other words, to be able to do that, you automatically are stronger and will repel the one who's trying to, let's say, you know, storm the Bastille by finding out what you're doing, because they don't have the right to do that. So they're already on shaky ground. karmically, and that, you see, there is that. Now, how about if you're dealing on some very serious levels and you get a feeling that somebody you're dealing with is not quite right, and or doesn't mean you well, and or worse than that, may have ill intention to you, but they're not showing you that. So then you have the right to look into that, because it is for self-defense. You're not prying to see what they're doing in their off time. You see what I'm saying? It's like, it's not idle curiosity. You're looking out for self-defense purposes. That's a whole different thing. And when if the said individual is doing what you may suspect they're doing, in all likelihood they will be trying to block you. Well, again, the law is on your side, because what they're trying to do is hide deception, and with ill intent, which weakens them. So you have the power to be able to say, I can see you whether you want me to or not. I can penetrate your masquerade whether you want me to or not. You cannot hide anything from me.
That would set off another energy. I mean,
What do you mean? How do you mean?
if they're being deceitful anyways, that would set off an energy.
More. I don't get what you're saying.
Like if somebody's not fully in integrity, wouldn't that send off an energy that you would pick up?
Oh yes, of course. But again, what if when you attempt to look into what this is, let's say you have reason to deal with them for whatever reason. You know, let's say you're involved one way, and you begin to sense that this person doesn't mean you well, but you're involved with them. I mean, if it's someone you can walk away from and don't even bother. Yeah, you're right. Just, get out of here. But let's say it's someone, I'm referring to the future, actually. I'm referring to the future and times when all of us are going to be involved with people who aren't what they appear to be. And they may have ill intent. In fact, they have more than ill intent. But they're very clever at masking it. And they may have even had training along those lines. Psychic training, that's what I'm talking about, see? Double agents. Stuff like that. Intrigue, treachery in high places, treason, that kind of thing. That's what I mean, yeah. I've run into one or two. That's what I'm talking about. I know wherever I speak. And, and they appear one way, and they're actually there for very insidious purposes. They may be sent, for that purpose, just to undermine. That's happened in my own limited little humble experience. I've actually had a few people who I call them agents, who were sent to undo me for whatever weird reason. And, and I detected them. And when I attempted to look into it, I ran into you can't read me. And oh, yes, I can. See what I mean? Because you'll run into the block at first, and of course it's there. But then you would want to look more deeply and say, in the interest of truth and by the light that Pallas Athena grants me, I can see you all right. I can see through anything you try and do to block me. There's nothing you can do to keep me from seeing what I need to see. Nothing. So, it's an interesting little game, a little play of energy fields and comings and goings and stuff like that, And really, it's not a pleasant subject. I mean, I think we'd have nicer things to talk about. But this is life, and this is practical, and on Earth, these things come up. They just do. They come up in business. They come up in social things, in personal relationships. They come up spiritually a lot. So just something to be aware of. Okay. Now, if you're interested in understanding the mind and how the mind works, in all my years of study, I've yet to find a better treatise on it than the Master Course, a 3-month course by Gurudeva Subramanya. It's on cassette tape. You can get it by either on the internet, Hinduism Today, we have the magazines. He's got a thing called the Master Course. It's a 3-month course on tapes. And I've yet to read, hear, know about anyone, anywhere. I'm not saying they don't exist, but in my experience, that has ever dealt with the mind as thoroughly and as beautifully and as in-depth as he does. He just breaks it down into the 5 areas of the mind: conscious mind, subconscious mind, sub of the subconscious. What's that? Sub of the subconscious. What in the world is that? Sub. What is that? Sub superconscious mind? What's that? And then superconscious mind. He'll tell you how to know when you're in each one, how they function, what they do, what abilities come from each one, how to get to each one, very beautiful. So if you're interested in the mind as such, psychologically speaking, this is a place you'd want to go. It's a 3-month course. If you're interested in the masters and the hierarchy, Theosophy. Theosophy. Theosophy is an organization that was begun in the late 1800s by Madame Blavatsky, the Theosophical Society, the first such in the West. Now in India, and if I say, it's an old hat, but in the West, the first time it came west was in the late 1800s with Theosophy, Swami Vivekananda, but Theosophy in particular, Madame Blavatsky, her students Annie Besant and Charles Ledbetter. All of these, they wrote and wrote and wrote all about the masters, all about many, many, many occult subjects that are really, to this day, have never been equaled. I look at those books now, and I look around, and there's nothing like them around even now. 100 and some years later, they're unique in their fields. So if you're interested in that, you would go there. If you're interested in things along those lines. The Ascended Masters, the Great White Brotherhood, all of this, it goes into the concept that there is an order to it all, that it isn't as just happenstance as it appears, that the fact that Jesus and Buddha and Krishna and Muhammad and all the saints and sages all came from the same house. Same house. That it's the oneness. The gods and goddesses of Hawaii, all here. Gurudeva will talk about things like that. How, he calls Lord Ganesha, who the Hawaiians would call Lord Lono, and somebody else would call something else. Ku would be someone else. Kumara. They're all really very interesting. So the masters will guide you, if you ask them, of course, to do whatever you need to study next. And never think you don't have a teacher, because you do. Just because there may not be a physical person around, it doesn't matter. We all do, and we have various ones. So, if you just call out to those who are my true teachers, they're there, believe me. Plenty. Theosophy was the first one. After Theosophy, it took another incarnation in 1932 in the form of the I Am activity. Guy Ballard, Saint Germain. The whole wonderful thing that happened there. That's when he introduced the violet flame. That's when he introduced the whole concept of I Am, the I Am presence, the magic presence, the I Am teachings. He appeared to Godfrey Ballard, on a hike in Mount Shasta, and just materialized and began teaching him. After that, it went to the Bridge to Freedom, which was another organization. The messenger was Geraldine Innocenti, and that lasted about 10 years, I think. After that, it went to Mark Prophet and the Summit Lighthouse. And then Elizabeth Prophet, his wife, took that over. And currently, there's where it stands. It's you. It's us. She came during the time of the I Am, about the same time, the Arcane School. The reason why I didn't mention her in that light is that all the others taught of all the masters of the Brotherhood and that kind of thing, and with her teaching, it wasn't quite like that. It was the teachings of the Great White Brotherhood, but they didn't go into the masters and that much. They were mentioned, it was acknowledged. The master, of course, was Dwal Kul, who taught her, the Tibetan, they call him. But that was slightly different in that way, okay? Because they didn't use the term Great White Brotherhood too much. I mean, it was said in passing, where the others were about the Great White Brotherhood and the masters and things like that, and the various interconnections and all that kind of thing. So if you're interested in that, that's where you'd go for that. If you're interested in cosmic law, go to the Rosicrucians. The Order of the Rosy Cross, the Rosicrucians. Centuries old, goes back. Connected with things like the Masons. By the way, when we say Masons, right away, it kicks up all kinds of funny, freaky things because of, Freemasons and, all kinds of talk. The Masons originally, of course, were a mystery school. In rare cases, they still are, but you can go over to, I don't know if you know about Kemoku and, Beretania. If you're going, Beretania up to Kemoku and you took a right, And the first right you could take, you take a right there, go in about 2 blocks and take another right, and you will be at the Masonic Lodge of the Blue Moon. And it's a lodge of Masons. But they've become like a social order or something, you know, the Benevolent Order of Elks or something like that. You know? I mean, they're good people. You know, I'm not trying to put them down, but I'm saying they're not what the old Masons were. So you've got that kind of thing going on. If you're interested in a real good all-around view of where the soul fits into incarnation, in the sense of the day-to-day explanation of human situations that are bound to come up, which these other ones don't particularly focus on, you understand? You would probably do real well if you could get a hold of a book by William Dudley Pelley and the Soulcraft scripts. That's the best I've found in that area. So I can just give you, the jewels, my jewels. I lay them at your feet, and they're not mine, of course. But I lay them out because these would be the things that I would say are to me so far the highest and clearest and purest sources of information. Because it all comes out of self-education anyway. Unfortunately, we don't have any schools we can go to, and where do I go? Sign up. If we're in England, that might change a little bit, but we're not. So these are things, there are mystery schools you can apply for, and they may accept you. The Rosicrucians, they're a mystery school. They really are. And if you want, you can order and get the transcripts and do that. Manuscripts, they call them. The monographs. And there's also the Lemurian Fellowship, very secret mystery school. You can find them. There's also the Stell group. That's another one. So there's various ones, but and you wouldn't hear about them ordinarily. You wouldn't run into them either. And if someone belongs to them, they're not going to tell you, because almost all of them are vows of secrecy and stuff like that. So anyway, just so you know, all that's out there. Whee! Go play, kids. I'm just saying, there's no lack of it when you know where to look and you know what you're looking for. That's the thing. So I don't want you to feel like, there's no right and go, and now the class is over now. Nonsense. What's that?
Summer school assignment too.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, summer school assignment. Get enlightened.
Yeah.
In the next 3 months. Okay. If you're interested in astrology, Susan Miller. She's on the internet. For free, you can sign up. She's got a course in astrology going, I think, right about now. She's beginning it, a basic course in astrology. Free. It's a matter of just tuning in the internet. So if you're interested in astrology, I would refer you to Susan Miller. So there would be some of the, the things that I could share with you in that way. Okay, now I'd like to open for, if you have any questions about anything. Questions, answers, don't ask me personal questions. I'll bite your head off.
In the method of praying, and also in the fact that you brought up the thing about a shield around yourself and stuff, can you effectively pray or build shields or whatever by just thinking about them, or should you be doing verbal tones?
Are you talking about for protection, or how do you mean?
Well, both for praying, just in general, like you care about something, make sure that they
I see.
go to the heaven or whatever, and or if you want to protect yourself, is it enough to because I find that I tend to just do things mentally,
Yeah,
and then I'm wondering and I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm not praying right. I don't know.
I see.
Either I don't know the specific words I'm supposed to say, and or do you get better results if you're vocalizing?
Yeah, I see. Well, we can't deny the fact that sound is very creative. It is, which is why people have prayed aloud and chanted, forever. I wouldn't say, though, that there isn't a way to do it silently. Like, if that's how you're most comfortable, I would continue doing that. But just so you know, if you ever really wanted to bring out the big guns, you might add verbal prayer to it. It would reinforce it.
And when you're praying, does it matter how you say it?
Well, yes, it does. Because what you'd want to do is present the thing that you're asking for simply, and how would I say, offer it up like, and this or something better, kind of a thing, you know, and let this be adjusted according to cosmic law and or according to the will of God, you know, so that you're asking to be, I hope to be in compliance with what is, with the perfect thing. I may not know what that is, but I call to my own holy Christ up to adjust this call or this prayer according to cosmic law, according to the holy and perfect will of God. You know, so that you want to be in the right, on the right side of the law, if you will. Yeah, and all, you know, so in a way you're kind of giving up your prayer, saying, here's what I would like, but if it's not appropriate or right, then never mind. You know, kind of a thing. The reason why it's not so easy to comment on that is because whatever form of prayer anyone has is the form that they have evolved through lifetimes. And that's how it worked for them, usually. So in other words, if you really get down to pray, what you naturally will fall back on will be what has worked for you in other lives. So you usually want to go there, start there. That's, go home, you know, go to your roots, because that's usually where, you know, that has worked for you. So you would do that. That would be one thing, yeah. What was that sound?
Singing in the shower?
In the shower? Oh, I was going to say. But nobody's in our showers. So what is this? Okay. I think we have a message coming, so I'm going to prepare for that.
Hey, Arthur?
Yes.
When you hear that you're going to go into trance,
It'd be like smelling something, someone's cooking, you know. Someone's making pie.
no, really.
It's just suddenly there. And what I do is I hear it and then I start to like, you know, see to it that, you know, get it okay here. Like I'll announce it usually every chance I get. Sometimes I don't have a chance to announce it, you know. It just kind of comes, boom. It's happened before, you know, so. Okay, so in that we seem to have this thing, this feeling, this drawing upon us, so I'm going to just open myself up and see what comes to us. Upon this eve, I choose to make with you, beloved, a special date. And why should I such a rendezvous create? Well, it gives us something to look forward to. Don't be late. But you won't be late. I'll see to that. I'll come out of the evening like a hungry little bat, which though feared by those who know not its ways, the bat consumes insects, making for more pleasant days. I come when I come, I choose the times, and yes, I happen to speak in rhymes, but what of that? Surely, if I do gesticulate, then you'll know it's but my way. So I don't have to stand on a crate and a soapbox to make the date. What is this date I prattle about? What is this thing which I doubt? It's a moment between you and I, and it will occur before you die. Indeed. And that, of course, is easy. Why? Because, of course, you'll never die. Beloved, you know not how you touch my heart. For I've been there with each one of you from the very start, and I've watched how you've grown. Each one. So smart to have known what it took to touch this heart. I speak of a moment between moments. And signs. I speak of the ability, yes, to speak in rhymes, but only to show you how these are the times when I choose, when I will part the veil. The night has 1,000 eyes, I've said it before. But how would you know, lest you stood at the door and watched as I do? Miracles more and more, and all those things that come before, foreshadowings of which life is made. And all those things that I have said will weave like a tapestry and come to you like the wind. And all those things that you see now, you may rescind. I am He who lives in a flame, and never once have I held you to blame for anything you've done or any heart you broke or anything at all that you may have illegally thought you took. My dears, be flexible and be willing to change, for if anything, this world shall be made to rearrange the structures and all those things that you now think are so real. I tell you, each one of them from you time will steal. I prophesy, I will come unawares and at night. And in that moment you'll have great sight. And in that moment you'll see a purple cloud and suddenly hear a tone that gets so loud, and voila, there I'll be in front of you, so clear, even as I am now. My sweet, sweet dear, there is one thing you must remember, when dealing with me, Le Comte de Saint Germain, or who I used to be, that I will frequently invite myself to tea. I hope that isn't too rude of me, but I trust that you love me and I love you, and for this reason, the violet hue released right now between me and you goes forth to bless the world. Thank you, beloved. Your energy I have used, and with you in this hour, my energy I have fused, and together we have done what we could to disabuse the wrongdoings that others have unleashed. Enough. Basta, as the Latins will say. I think I have just about overstayed my stay, but not, for there's one last thing I bring you today, and it is in this hour the violet ray. I've noticed lately, since the beginning of this year, 2001, that Saint Germain has graced us with his presence like never before. He just pops in whenever he wants, like he just did. And again, you know, usually in rhyme. But what my experience of him is this all the time. That here we go. See, is this that two things have happened. He's awakened in me an ability to do that, to speak in rhyme, and when I really need to or want to, and it's very strange because it just is there. You know, it's like all of a sudden I can do that. You know, it's very bizarre. And he does it because he does it, and then he like leaves me with that, like the door stays open or something. It's kind of strange. But anyway, that's one thing. That's just a personal experience. But another one is this, that I notice when he speaks, he speaks in code. I don't see now, because I was so into what I was seeing and hearing. I don't know what you all heard or what. I mean, I'm sure you heard the same words anyway. But what I got, I just want to share with you what my take on this was, that he was saying that he has a moment that he's going to tune, like I think I would want to say appear, but if nothing else, connect with each one of us here. So here we go. You know, he'll pick that moment. I can't stop. You know, like turn it off. You know. And he was saying that he'll pick the time, right? But and then, like I said, he made a little joke about it'll happen before you die. Because that's easy, because you won't die. Yeah, when he would appear in the courts of France, he would often do the same thing. Of course, in French. He would be speaking in French, and he would speak in rhyme. And always say exactly what he wanted to say. Never miss a beat.
I thought it was interesting when he said that he used our energy.
Yeah.
And I've really been feeling that too this week. I was very, very tired and drained, especially at night.
Yeah. A lot of us have been doing a lot of work, out of the body work. It's true. Yeah. Because of all that's gone on, you know. Yeah, I had a dream where I was in, I think over there, because there was a lot of, it felt like New York, all these people. And there was a, I don't know if you've ever been to this place over here in Kakako. There's this storage facility. It's a building, and it's round. And you can drive up it. and do your parking and drive that. It exists, right? And at least it did last time I knew it. I actually had stories here once. And it looked something like that. It was like a round, huge thing. And all these people were going down, and they were going down not because they wanted to, but because they couldn't stop. You know, and as I was going, like I was trying to pull sideways to get away from them. And they're going, no, don't go that way, man. You're just going to come down with the rest of us. And I go, no, I won't. And they're coming, no, come on, man. You know, you can't fight it. Yes, I can. Don't tell me that. You know, it's for you, not for me. Go away. You know? And I realized that I was trying to get up to somewhere, and I felt I was going somewhere to help. But there was this huge, you know, people wave that was going down, and they weren't even resisting it. They were just, you know, like so many cattle. Too bad. But I think that's what's happening a lot. I think we're doing that. Yeah, we're doing a lot of this kind of stuff. So, sure.
There was a line in there about everything that you know you will relinquish. Something, I don't know if anybody else heard that. What would that be referring to?
You're right. I thought he used the word rescind.
Rescind?
I really wasn't totally clear. It doesn't rescind mean to take back or something?
Yeah.
Does it? Is that what it means? Yeah. That was very deep. Yeah, I heard that too, and I caught that too. That was very deep. Again, we'd have to hear, you know, word for word, but I think what he was saying was there'll come a time when a lot of what you now put forth openly, you would take back in a way. You know, it's deep. It's pretty deep. I almost don't want to go into it, but there come a place where what right now you might think you're creating because you want to create and it's a good thing, and it is indeed a step in your evolution, but there'll come a place where you will, like, how would I say, make it all right or something like that, or neutralize anything you've done that wasn't perfect, or something like that. It's real subtle, very subtle.
Platforms that aren't in alignment,
You'll
have a chance
to take them back, something like that. Yeah, very astute, Jane, very clever. Yeah, so yeah, that was that. Okay, any other comments, questions, anything?
You said something about, his remarks in the beginning about the bad eating the insects and the. At first I
couldn't quite get that one, could ya? A little disturbing. You know why? That's very Aquarian. He is the ultimate Aquarian.
Bats don't use their eyes.
You know? Interesting. What?
Kind of like don't judge the book by its cover, kind of.
Maybe, yeah, something like that, yeah. Things that people would tend to recoil from. But, you know, I mean, in God's kingdom, they have a purpose. And he says, he said, well, and what you don't get is that the insects that they eat make the next day nice. There aren't as many mosquitoes around. You know, see? Yeah, what an interesting little observation there. And but it's so like him to do that. I've noticed that. Aquarius is a sign that will shock you. They love to shock you. They count that day lost if they don't shock you once or twice. You know? Or some of us are just shocks. We are shocks on two legs. You know, because it's just the way we are.
You said something about reality not being reality.
Yeah.
I mean, that was nice to hear.
Because we have calls to note every day.
This is on a different subject, but do you know how to distinguish when we're remembering what we did in the night?
Mm-hmm.
You know how to tell the difference between a dream and astral travel? You know, or if you were in another dimension actually dealing with something?
Anything you'd remember would have occurred in another dimension. Just anything across the board. Because it didn't occur here, did it? No.
No, I didn't know if your mind just...
Concocted it?
Yeah, it has little firings, or if you...
Yeah, I think... You know, I think that dreams, Paulette, are like... we don't remember, them consecutively sometimes. So we just remember the pieces. And so it doesn't make sense sometimes. It's like if you fell asleep during a movie and then would wake up and then fall asleep again and wake up and fall asleep again, you'd remember blocks. that wouldn't appear to connect, but some of the same characters are in it. You're like, what's up with this? And it's because here's another thing. If you experience something on the other side that your understanding in this world can't grasp, you'll just delete it lots of times. Because you can't explain it. You can't account for it. Let's say you're sitting and having a conversation with a friend, and all of a sudden they sprout two heads, and all three of them are talking to you at the same time. I'm not going to remember that. Nope. That'll throw my whole day. So no, delete, zip, There's a lot to it. I mean, and the experiences that one remembers are many things. It's not just one thing, really. Because you got all these different kinds of dreams and levels of dreams. It goes on and on. There's many times if you have a fear and it's really getting in your way and you've been praying or hoping that you can be free of anything that is in your way and you make that prayer, then your superconscious mind or a master or anybody can decide on any given night when maybe the astrology is right, the moon's just right, to bring that fear up and play it out in front of you in the astral where it really can't hurt you, and so you can deal with it, and then you get rid of it, and you'll call that a nightmare or something, and it really, it's just something that had to happen so you could see, it wasn't that bad now, was it? And get it out of the way. That would be one example, Another is, of course, where you literally go out of your body and go somewhere else and experience something. And again, even then, don't remember it all, or parts of it you choose not to, So that's why they're so, kind of, not really clear. Isn't it neat when you have a real neat dream experience that's consecutive? I like that. I love those. Where you remember it all the way through, just like a story. Those are neat. I like that. Yeah, sure, of course. Yeah, and you wake up and then go back to it again, I like those. It's pretty neat. And a good one, exactly. And you're right, you got the ones that you can't seem to get away from it, right? You wake up and you're oh God, I'm so glad. You go back to sleep and you go back there again, Oh no, not this, Mr. Bill. What's going on? Not this. So it's pretty interesting, but really it's not that easy. I don't know that I would have. I wish there was like a real compact answer. Oh well, that's easy because of this and this, but it isn't. I think intuition's probably your best bet. And what did I get out of that? What was it trying to tell me? Might be the way to go. On that, and just trying to derive what you can from it. And get what you can from it. But one thing I know is that recurring dreams are definitely something to be noticed. I remember talking once to a lady, and she'd been having a recurring dream for like 10 years. 10 years, off and on. And it kept changing a little bit, but it was essentially the same dream, 10 years. And she seemed strangely, I don't know what to say, out of touch with it or something. She brought it up once. Actually, she didn't bring it up, I did. It was in a reading. And I was tipped off. I said, haven't you been having a dream? She goes, oh yeah, that's been going on for a while. I go, how long? She goes, 10. You go, 10 years? I'd never heard of that, 10 years. And when she told me what it was like a very, very symbolic, important thing, for her life. And, and with the help of her guides, I guess, or mine or somebody's, I was able to kind of interpret it for her, and at least to some degree. And she goes, God, I never thought that meant anything. How in the world can you have the same dream for 10 years? It doesn't mean anything. Hey. But, it goes to show, it's a matter of education. She didn't know that, and no one told her, and that was all it was, So dreams are fascinating. Interesting, you would ask about dreams because you are, of course, a Pisces by sun sign. And, the sign Pisces, if you were to look at the chart, it corresponds to the 12th house, and that is also the house of dreams. Neptune, yeah. 12th house, and astrology is the house of dreams. Neptune rules Pisces. Neptune rules the sleep states, rules trance states. In my chart, I have Neptune conjunct the sun. I go out, and then I return. So, yeah, it's pretty neat.
When you were talking about when you go out of your body, what's a good way besides willing yourself, or is that the only way to get yourself back? Completely?
Well, you know that you're not back completely when you can't move your body. You know that, right? Okay. When you're conscious but you can't move. Have you ever been in there? It's called the mummy experience. You're like, this kind of thing, and you paralysis.
Maybe you're back in, but you're not.
You're not in sync totally,
not
yeah.
in sync, and that happened this weekend, and then finally I realized, then all of a sudden, don't know, I did something. Maybe I went back to sleep or I took a little nap or something. Then I woke up, started walking around. Maybe I ate something, and then all of a sudden my vision changed.
And you
then it
popped in all the way.
cleared again, and I was like, ooh.
You weren't fully in.
I was like, what is that?
See, the astral body moves the physical body. The astral body moves the physical body. So when your astral body is not totally in sync with your physical body, you cannot move that physical body. That's what that is. You're out of sync. You're out of coincidence. You know? And of course, as I might have mentioned, I don't know, the liver is the organ, the physical organ that connects the astral and the physical. When you drink too much alcohol, it causes the astral to start to move out of coincidence with the physical, accounting for staggering. You're not quite in that body, huh? Accounting for slow reaction, that's why not too good to drive when you're drinking, and accounting for that double vision if you really have it. You've really been drinking for a while. You know, that's what that is. You're out of, and if you keep drinking enough, you'll pass out, won't you? Literally, you'll pass out of the physical, and your body drops. You lose consciousness. That's what that's about. You know, so that's what I mean. So it's connected right there. So double lines and things like that, you know. Of course, most of you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. But one or two of you might. You don't have to own up to it. I know who you are.
It always looked like it would be fun to get drunk. Oh, you're getting there.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
So I never got to enjoy it.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
I never got to enjoy it.
It's good to work that within one's own limits, you know, doing that. Yeah, that's why it's important to try not to be a copycat, you know. You're right, absolutely. Some people's bodies can handle that type of thing, others can't. You know, some of us insisted on having the kind of body that could, because we knew what we were going to be doing here and why and the importance of it. And as strange as it may sound to some people, you know, how it was an absolutely essential thing to be able to have a, you know, kind of a rugged body, like a nice, you know, 4x4 kind of body, you know, off-road a lot, you know. And just get right back on that highway like nothing, man, like nothing's wrong. Just keep on trucking. So what? You know, just keep on going. And other people, they just can't do that. You know, they're in Toyotas or something, and it just doesn't, you know, they can't go off-road too far. And they should stay on the highway for that very reason. So, you know, there are all those things. Okay, well, I'm going to do a little sealing prayer, and then we'll call it a night. In the name of the light of God that never fails, that never did, and that never will, I call to the 420 elders to stand before the throne of Almighty God. I call the beloved mighty Alpha and Omega, beloved mighty Helios and Vesta. I call to the 7 mighty Elohim, 7 archangels, 7 the Archai, 7 Chans of the rays of the beloved Lord Mahachohan, Lord Maitreya, Lord Gautama Buddha, Lord of the world, Lord Sanat Kumar, Lady Master Venus, and all the evolutions of Venus. I call to mighty Victory. I call to Omritas, the ruler of the violet planet, beloved mighty Prince Ramesses and Diana, Aries and Thor, Neptune and Luara, Virgo and Pelur. I call to all of the great directors of the elements. I call to all the gods and goddesses of Hawaii. I call to all those who are working with us from the higher dimensions of love and light and the Ascended Lady Masters of Heaven to take note of that which we have sought to accomplish here in this series of classes, and to multiply it by the power 3 times 3, the power 10,000 times 10,000. I call to the Chohans of the 5 secret rays to stand present here with us, and for the next 24 hours to dispense their secret rays into and about our chakra system, above and below the physical body. I call for the clearance of the kosha sheath. I call for the absolute amplification of the violet flame into and about our 4 lower bodies, for the consuming of the cause, chorus, seed, effect, record, and memory of all misuses of the sacred fire, of all misuses of cosmic law, of all those things that would work against us in any way, shape, or form, of all traces of anger, impatience, intolerance, rebelliousness, ingratitude, thoughtlessness, and spiritual blindness. I call for the binding of all vice. I call for the binding of all those things that would move against the Sacred Heart. I call for the binding of all those things that would move against the children and the mothers of the world. I call for the binding of all those things that move against the elderly. I call for the purification of the consciousness beating world of all those who are truly world leaders. I call for the binding of all the forces of darkness that might be attempted to move through those who are controlling the power and the money in this planet. I call for the binding of all forces coming from other planetary bodies that are not here for the highest purposes of light. I call to the Lord Ashtar. I call to the Lord Michael. I call to the numberless numbers of blue lightning angels who descend and to bring megatons of blue lightning flame in through and about this entire planet and the honeycombing catacombs that exist deep within the center of the earth. I call for the binding of all those forces that would move against the consciousness of the Christ and the Buddha, wherever it is to be found, and the consciousness of the Divine Mother. I call for the binding of all those things that are anti-mother, anti-woman, and those things that are promoting violence, abuse in any way, shape, or form. I call for the binding of untempered zeal. I call for the binding of jealousness, and all those things that move against the light of God that never fails. And I call for the fullness of the release of the light of God that never fails, never did, and never will, in through and about your consciousness being world, and all of those who look unto you and the ascended masters for light, counsel, and guidance. I call for the amplification then of the Holy Christ flame within each one of you. I call for the amplification then of all those gifts and boons that are mine to give, to pass by the authority of my office on earth and in heaven, and I accept it in the full God power, and with you I share the blessing of the beloved elder brother Jesus the Christ, in that sacred moment when he did say unto us, those things that you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Those things which you shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Let God's will be done, let God's will be done, let God's will be done. We accept it in full God power. Elohim, Elohim, Elohim. And it is done, and it is finished, and it is sealed.